Jermaine Mathews Jr. plays with the hunger and fire contagious enough to ignite the entire Ohio State team.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Thursday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Just like there's more to every player, more dedication, more attention to detail, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Stay tuned later in the episode for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. During today's show, we will highlight a couple of players that recently lost their black stripes, as well as get to know Ohio State's next opponent, the Grambling State Tigers. But first, one thing is very clear when Jermaine Mathews Jr. is out there on the field is that man is hungry to get the ball in his hands, and he's always on fire. Doesn't matter if it's a run play or if he's defending the pass. He is eager and hungry to make sure he is in the right spot to make the play. Well, when you have a guy like him on your team that is on fire every single day, that type of mindset and that kind of belief about himself can be a part of other players in the locker room. Well, you're at Ohio State, you may be thinking, and Ohio State has guys that are already on fire and that are hungry. That is true. But there are times that there may be a guy in the locker room that's hungrier than somebody else, that may have a fire that's hotter than a guy that's locker is next to his. Well, that's when you tap into that person next to you and say, hey, man, help me out. I need a little pick me up. And he picks you up. Or Mathews Jr. walks around, sees somebody's head down, lift your head up. We got a game to play. And he helps his teammates not get down in the low moments, but also to always stay hungry when they're on the field to make the play. And this goes on defense, on offense, or special teams. You need guys like Mathews Jr. on your team, not just on one side of the ball, but a guy like that that's on the field every single down. I don't care if it's kickoff return, punt team, doesn't matter. These guys like this are very, very valuable. But then when you add in more context, that Ohio State just came off a win over Texas. 16.6 million people watched the game, and they're now the number one team in the country. There are newcomers at Ohio State. We talked about it all offseason. There are new faces in new places, not just on the field, but also off, that might see that number one tag next to Ohio State's logo and think, Mama, I made it. I'm good. They got us the number one team in the country. We can kind of let off the gas a little bit and be a little easy and be in that prevent look in the first quarter because we made it. Grambling State's a breeze. They ain't got nobody. They just played a NAIA team. We ain't got to bring the juice, but you have to. Because the moment you start letting up the gas and the moment you start realizing, oh, I'm going to play to the level of my opponent, that's when a Texas comes back and beats you. That's when Michigan beats you again. That's when Penn State and James Franklin beat you. Why? Because you're letting off the gas and you are not full throttle all the time. And I think for Mathews Jr., not only is he good, he's actually really, really good, but he's only going to get better. And his stats this year, well, for so far in the one game, I won't go full stat crazy and start talking about, well, his stats are jumping off the screen because they don't. His stats don't jump off the screen. 3 tackles against Texas. He had an INT. He also had 1 pass breakup. Nothing about that says, ooh, and and that's the kind of guy I need on the team as a corner. No, that doesn't scream that. Especially when Igman Olsen was very, very physical and in on some very key tackles. It doesn't scream that. But I believe his ball hawking ability, his ability to honestly be a lockdown corner. Now, he only got him 1 game as a starter this year, so you're going to learn more about him over the next few games. Not just Grambling State and Ohio, but also Washington, who has a 3-headed monster out there that's going to be a really tough battle for Ohio State, not just on the outside with him and Denzel Boston, but also Demond Williams and Jonah Coleman. That's going to be a massive test for the Buckeyes defense as well. But let's remember, they're still hungry. And Ryan Day is urging them to not just stay where they are, but to grow, but to maintain the edge they have. And you can do that, and it's easier to do that with a guy like Jermaine on your team. I expect him to be a big piece of the pie. Now, he's probably only going to play, or he should only play, a couple of quarters, maybe a quarter and a half this coming week, and then also against Ohio the week after. So it's not like he's going to get a lot of game reps, but the moments he's on the field will be very, very valuable for his development as a player, but also to help build that necessary depth as well. It's if he does his job and his fire is hot and its hunger is as strong as it's ever been, you're going to see Ohio State 3 and out, 3 and out. Oh, turnover here, 3 and out. Oh, pick six. Why? Because the hunger is so strong. They want to get off the field so quickly so the offense can get back on and score. I think this young man is going to be one of those corners that we look back at this year and look at his play and analyze how he played, and people are going to be saying, that guy's one of the best corners that Ohio State has had in a very long time. That's a big-time projection. I'm not normally a big-time bold proclamation kind of guy right now, especially after week one. I'm more of a wait-and-see kind of guy. But I've had a belief about this young man, and a lot of you do as well, that he is going to be the man. Also, he's wearing number 7, which is one of the numbers at Ohio State. If you have that number, you are a dude. Just like the Block O is very prestigious now for Ohio State, and it's a very high honor, similar to number 1. If you're wearing number 1, you better be Percy Harvin fast. You better be Braxton Miller fast, because you got to be moving. You're not gonna let just somebody that runs a 4.5 wear number 1. No, that's for the 4.4 guys, the 4.3 guys, those guys that have track speed. That's for them. You get a lot of returners that wear number 1. There are certain numbers that are very, very specific to certain things. I heard one person say about Devin Brown that they didn't think he was going to be good, but he came out and he announced the number he was going to wear. Okay, I'm not going to go that far, but it's not a normal quarterback number. And when that was set up, like, I understand what he was saying, because also hindsight being 2020, but I understand that number is not normally a normal quarterback number. So you're already thinking a little bit about, why is he going that route? Is he going to be special enough to make that thing memorable for a good reason? Certain numbers mean a whole lot. 33 is normally a linebacker, or James Leonidas, running back, or maybe a DB. Normally not a quarterback. It's normally not that thing. So he's wearing number 7 now, and looking forward to him continuing the tradition of really, really, really good play by Buckeye corners that wear that number. Picked it up when Jordan Hancock went off to the National Football League, and so he already has big shoes to fill. And I believe he's going to leave his mark wearing number 7. He's going to leave behind a jersey. Whoever takes that number next has big shoes to fill as well. Speaking of big shoes to fill, Grambling State's coming to town, and they're trying to make some noise, some big boy noise, when they come to Ohio State for the first meeting between these two schools to get to know the Tigers after the break. This episode is brought to you by Upside. Are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code FOOTBALL and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code FOOTBALL. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. Because these moments do more than win, they push what's possible. They remind us to go that extra yard, shift into that extra gear, and keep moving the game forward. And there's one player that made one play that's in my head right now, and it's CJ Donaldson's first touchdown as a Buckeye. The Buckeyes go with the heavy set. 4 tight ends are on the field. One of them, Nate Roberts, is in the fullback position. Behind him is the tailback in CJ Donaldson. Donaldson goes in an HB ISO and scores. Hats off to him for scoring his first touchdown and helping the Buckeyes beat Texas in the season opener. When you follow up moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Thank you for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Ohio State is preparing to go to battle with the Grambling State Tigers in the Buckeyes' second game of the year. And this is a Grambling State football program that is full of history. And Ryan Day made sure that the team heard about the rich history of this program ahead of their second game of the year, because he didn't want this to be just be something that is, FCS program is coming in, it's the HBCU, they're coming in, the Buckeyes win big, and they go home. No, Ryan Day wanted to make sure that a program like Ohio State that is full and rich of traditions knows about the traditions of a team they're about to play, especially a team that they're going to play for the very first time. So I'm looking forward to this game for numerous reasons for Ohio State to display their growth, but also to see the Buckeyes play at HBCU. While I am not a fan of FCS teams coming to the shoe and playing, it's going to be nice to get a different feel and a different style out there on the field. It's still football, but there's a level of athleticism that Grambling State's going to play with that other schools might not have. So I'm looking forward to this game. And for this team, Grambling State, it's their Super Bowl. These kids have dreamed up playing at some of the cathedrals in college football, and Ohio Stadium is one of them. And they are now going to have an opportunity to play in one of these stadiums that is so rich, that has rich and full of history, but also has over 100,000 seats. Most people don't have an opportunity to go to a stadium that seats over 100,000. And then it's even rarer if you are an individual that gets to play in a stadium that seats over 100,000. So there's a lot of big things going on with this football team. But the rich history that is with Grambling State, it is highlighted by their former head coach and Hall of Fame coach, that is Eddie Robinson. He has 408 career wins. That is third all time among Division I college coaches. He is the only FCS head coach to have over 400 wins. He led Grambling State to 18 SWAC championships, 9 black college football national championships, and had 41 winning seasons. Grambling State also has the most SWAC championships with 28, the most NFL Hall of Famers, 4 of any SWAC program, and has 15 black college national championships. And so when you hear that, you may think, Jay, is this one of the top HBCU programs coming to Ohio State? It is not. No, Grambling State is not one of those teams that were 5-7 a year ago. They are 1-0 currently. That is a win over a NAIA school in Langston, where they did what they're supposed to do. Blow them out. The score was 55-7, and Langston didn't score until there were less than 9.5 minutes left in the game. So Grambling State did what they're supposed to do. Go into the game, play, and win big. That's what they did. The difference is when you watch the film, and it wasn't really easy to find some of the highlights from their game last week, you can easily see the size difference between those players and Ohio State's players, the athleticism that they have, but I think Ohio State is going to be a little bit crisper on the field in their movements. And you can just see that there's a big talent gap between what Ohio State has and Grambling State has. But one thing I was able to see was their running back and quarterback are a little bit shifty guys. Also, the quarterback's a lefty. And that's one thing that's going to be a little bit different. As we highlighted Jermaine Mathews Jr. in the last segment, it's easy for a guy like Mathews Jr. or Igman Olsen to know and what to expect with a right-handed quarterback. The ball comes off the hand of a lefty different than a guy that throws out of his right hand, which is one thing that made Michael Vick so elite when he was on the field, because he threw with his left. and it's not normal. The rotation is different. There are guys that are used to getting a ball thrown to them from a guy that's a right-handed quarterback. Then when they get a left-handed quarterback, they're like, "Hey man, why are you throwing the ball so hard? Why the spin different? Why does it look a little bit different when it's coming towards me?" Well, it's because he is. I mean, literally just by different hands, it's being spun in a different way, and it's going to look a little bit different. So for the Buckeyes defensive backs that did a good job of disguising things against Texas and not allowing Arch Manning to get comfortable, they might have to take a couple times in the game, a couple of series to realize, well, we're more physical than you. We can stop you, but man, a lefty looks a little bit different. I don't believe Ohio State has at least a scholarship left-handed quarterback. The one they had a year ago in Aaron Noland ended up transferring to South Carolina. I know St. Clair is right-handed. Keenan is right-handed. And I believe Eli Brickhandler is right-handed as well. I don't know all of the walk-on quarterbacks if there's a righty or a lefty there. If there is a lefty quarterback that's a walk-on, he's probably going to get a lot of time on the scout team this week because he needs to help this defense get used to seeing a lefty throw the football and have the ball come towards them. A couple of guys that kind of shined or guys to know for Grambling State. Number 4, defensive end Bryce Cage. He had 4 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, and 2 QB hurries in their win over Langston in 2024. He had 11 TFLs and 4 sacks. So there's one guy up front to know. It is him, and I'm trying to pull the roster up very quickly to get his height and weight for everyone, so I'm not just saying something. He's a defensive end at 6'5", 269 pounds. So not a defensive end that is a little bit on the lighter side. He is on the heavier side. So for Sareveld and Daniels, and maybe even Onyanwa too, depending on how long Tegra can go in this game, I don't really think Tegra is the best option at guard. I didn't believe that last year, and I'm starting to not believe that this year too. But we're only going to know that for sure over the next few weeks as the Buckeyes get more games under their belt. But it might be a thing where Ohio State just starts Onyanwa at right guard because he is the better option. Some other guys to know for Ohio State in this game: cornerback Blake Davis was pretty good in coverage. He had 41 tackles, 3.5 TFLs, 3 INTs, and 4 PBUs a year ago. Linebacker Brendan Barley had 39 tackles, 3 INTs, and a sack last year. The quarterback Xavier Tisset. I've been struggling with that one even before trying to record this show. Last week he was 20 for 25, 210 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns. There's one other player that I wanted to highlight. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he is their running back. Little shifty guy. And when Ohio State gave up 166 yards on the ground last week to a really good Texas team, I'm not saying their running back is going to be one of those guys that you have to focus on like you will with the Contravion Wiesner or CJ Baxter, but I do think he is going to be a guy that for those linebackers, Peyton Pierce getting some extra run, not only Peyton Pierce getting extra run, but also some of those interior guys that are getting extra run as well, Will Smith Jr., Tymo Malone Jr., and others. You're going to need to know this young man, and the stats are back up on the screen, which kind of went away for a little bit. This computer. His name, I believe it's Trey Bradford. The Grambling State did have 4 guys that had over 46 rushing yards. Last week was more of a running back by committee. 3 of the 4 guys I just mentioned scored. Trey Bradford, Byron Eaton Jr., and Andrew Cruz. The other running back that scored for Grambling State last week was Tony Phillips. So this is a team that's going to be probably more of a running back by committee. You can't just get comfortable with just one guy in receivers. It's going to be the same thing. They're going to try to spread the ball out to multiple guys. They had 4 receivers that had over 31 receiving yards. Tyson George was 3 for 63 in a tud, but Barron Miles Jr. was 5 for 43 and also another touchdown. Nicholas Howard had 4 catches for 41 yards. Jordan Bride had 5 catches for 31 yards. The other touchdown that the Tigers, 2 more touchdowns the Tigers had through the air were from Andrew Frazier and Kavadas Knighton. this is going over numbers and some things from last year, just some guys to highlight. This is a team that's going to be very athletic. And as they're going to be very athletic, it's going to make Ohio State be forced to stay within the confines of their disciplines, making sure they're eyeing the right thing, make sure their keys are correct, make sure their communication is correct. While Grambling State is not one of the world beaters and a team that Ohio State is going to lose sleep preparing for, they're going to be a team that the athleticism is going to be a different test for the Buckeyes, and the Buckeyes must be ready for what Grambling State provides. I wouldn't be shocked if there are trick plays or some wildcat formations to throw Ohio State off. Because what does Grambling State have to lose? Nothing. They're not expected to win. They're expected to come in, get a check, play a game, go home. That is it. But for Ohio State, this is a time for this team to get better. They got some good guys over there at Grambling State. Some big boys too. And Ohio State can't take them for granted. You can win, but you must make sure you're exerting your will, setting the tone, and getting better every single down you're on the field. Speaking of getting better, there are a couple guys that have made some waves during the offseason, leading into the season, that recently lost their black stripes. So we want to highlight two of those guys before we end today's show. This episode is brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Ohio State, Julian Sayin delivered in a big way. When Ohio State needed another score to go up 2 touchdowns, what did Ohio State do? Put the ball in Sayin's hands. He threw that touchdown pass to Cardinal Tate, a 40-yard touchdown pass, his first of the season as Ohio State's QB1, and Ohio State had the cushion they needed. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Julian Sayin is on a streak. And just like Julian Sayin delivered for Ohio State, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Y'all know I love hearing about players lose their black stripes, and there were a couple more that lost their black stripes in the middle of this week. I love that this isn't an off-season thing, that even during the season, while players aren't expected to get a lot of playing time, even on special teams, some of them are still doing what is needed to prove they have what it takes to be a Buckeye. And there were two. We're going to go Dezi Jones first, and then Keenan Nelson Jr. Keenan Nelson Jr. second. Dezi Jones is the newest member of Zone 6, as he recently lost his black stripe. He is the fourth wide receiver commit at Ohio State in the Buckeyes 2025 class that lost their black stripe. And I'm excited for this one, man. A 4-star prospect out of DePaul Catholic High School in Jersey. When he was on the Buckeyes radar on the recruiting trail, and I was starting to watch his film, I realized he has a special gear, and he has something special about him. He is shifty. He has a type of firepower and the ability to run the routes like Heartline wants, but he also has a hunger to get better. And I think for Dezi Jones, losing his black stripe now is a great boost in the right direction, knowing that you're not going to play this year. And I'm not here to be a Debbie Downer, just rain on somebody's parade, but the reality is he ain't going to play. Yeah, he might play on Saturday, might play the following Saturday, so he'll play a little bit. It's a redshirt year. Lose your black stripe. Prove you have what it takes to be a Buckeye early. Don't wait until next year in the offseason. No, do it early. Wake up and get the workouts in, go to practice, watch the film, ask the questions, get to understand what it is to be a Buckeye, because it's difficult. I mean, this is a tradition that Urban Meyer started when he became Ohio State's coach, and I'm so glad Ryan Day continued this tradition of making sure when guys come to Ohio State, they prove they have what it takes. Because you can be really good out there in high school, really good. But man, college ain't for everybody. It is not. I know a kid that I covered here locally that went off to college and decided, man, I'd rather not play ball anymore. There's not a problem with that. No problem at all. But playing college ball ain't for everybody. And some guys, the desire or the drive is not what they thought it was going to be when they get there. And the coaches need to know that. The coaches need to learn that. Because if they can learn that early, they can realize to pour more into you or back off a little bit because maybe you ain't got it. But Dezi Jones clearly does. He is a receiver that I'm looking forward to over the next few years, assuming that he stays at Ohio State with the portal and NIL and now rev share. I won't say anything is possible because there is still stuff that is illegal. Michigan fans know what is illegal, at least the logical ones will admit, yeah, they cheated, they got caught, and they got punished for it. The logical ones will do that. I do know for Dezi Jones, when he's on the field, probably when Tavian St. Clair is QB1, he is going to be a big boy piece of the pie. The other player that loses black stripe this week is Keenan Nelson Jr. Him and Dezi Jones both lost their black stripes on Wednesday. Now, Keenan Nelson Jr.'s career is a little bit different than Dezi Jones's, where Nelson is a transfer from South Carolina, transferred in May of 2024, and he was primarily a special teams guy a year ago. Not sure that's going to be his role this year. He didn't play last week against Texas on special teams. And so I am curious to see or to hear and find out if his role now goes back to what it was a year ago, now that he's lost his black stripe, or if there are so many young guys or maybe older guys that have been special teams fixtures over the past few years that stay there so he doesn't get to play. But I think for Nelson Jr., this is a great move, but also you need those older guys, kind of those glue guys to be those type of players in the locker room. I don't hear anything bad about him. I don't hear about him being disgruntled. I don't hear anything negative. Sometimes when nothing is said, that is good. Sometimes when nothing is said, that's also bad. But I think in this situation, it's good for him. You don't want to come to a new school to be a cancer. I mean, remember when Quinshon Judkins committed to Ohio State after Michigan won the national championship, and people from the South were already saying, oh, he's a cancer for the locker room. He is going to be a problem child for y'all. Y'all don't want him, especially from Ole Miss and that camp there. People were just talking bad about him, and all of a sudden, he gets to Ohio State. Nobody had a problem. Nobody at all. Now, it's unfortunate he had some legal issues, or he's currently has some legal issues that may fall into the narrative that people from the South were already saying about him. But at Ohio State, nothing. Nothing at all. And that's what you want. You want guys to come in that fit into your culture, that immediately buy in and don't try to change anything. Because if somebody tries to come to Ohio State and change something, you can look up at those banners all around the stadium. For the 2024 banner that just went up, the sign to commemorate the Buckeyes winning the national championship last year, all the way back to the first natty Ohio State won. And you look in and say, how many trophies do y'all have? And the trophy case is full, not really a case, it's a room. Because that's how many trophies Ohio State has. And there's someone on the wall. And you're thinking, man, like, I'm going to come in and try and reinvent the wheel and trying to do my own thing. Because Ryan Day, man, this whole 4-game losing streak to Michigan is whack. He can't get stuff done. Yeah, you want a natty, but you can't beat your biggest rival, man. You are not doing your job. And you try to change some stuff up. And people are like, what you doing? What you doing, homie? And you say, well, I am trying to reinvent the wheel. You use that exact phrase because you think you're smart. And you're trying to reinvent the wheel because, well, something just ain't right. And they're like, reinvent what? Reinvent what? And you're like, man, I'm trying to reinvent stuff, man. I'm trying to do my own thing, pave a new path for Ohio State. And yep, the other teammates going to be like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We don't need you to come in here to try to fix anything. All you're going to do is cause commotion and wreak chaos and make people really, really mad. And so we don't need that kind of energy in this locker room on this team. He didn't try and do that. Nelson just literally followed the leader. Whatever the leader needed, that's what he did. And for the Buckeyes, you need guys like this. I love the black stripe. I don't have a current count off the top of my head, at least, of the players in the 2025 cycle that still need to lose their black stripes. I know there are some. So we'll be tracking this and talking about this as they come out. Side note, well, not side note, another thing for these players, they're the first two players to lose their black stripes since the season started, even since game week. So even if you go back to the game week, first official game week in week one, these two players are the first ones to lose their black stripes since that period. You can even go back. I think a couple lost theirs in week 0. The dates are in front of me. I just forget the dates of week 0, y'all. That still is one of the weirdest things in college football. Wait, so week 0 is the first week of the year, but it's called week 0. Why? Because it's not the first big weekend, so they don't want to call it week 1, but it's technically the first week of the season. Does it make sense? No. Why do they do that? Because people that run the sport sometimes do some very weird things. I'm not trying to be negative at the end of this show while highlighting a couple players, but it's true. It is reality. There's some people that run the sport that do some really, really, really weird things. And those things show up in a big way, and sometimes in a big way that makes people really confused. Speaking of big things, it's another big moment for Locked On because Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317 at gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Thursday. We'll see you next time.